you find that you're not enjoying doing them, and it has been a persistent situation. Yeah, in that situation, we can say this is depression. Yeah.
And you know, Blessings, one of the common things with depression these days is people find it hard to identify when they are actually depressed, or maybe they just don't feel like doing their day-to-day activities. And why I say so, I think we've talked about this time and time again. People are misusing the word depression of late.
Sure.
Blessings, today I could come to you and just say, Blessings, I'm depressed. And then you won't know if I'm saying that to just express that I'm really sad, either I'm being dramatic, or I'm actually feeling like there's something that is wrong with me. I don't feel the same. I feel like there's something different and I'm not as inspired. But then today we are actually getting into all that. So join in on the conversation, send in a text message, call the number on your screen, and of course, let's get sharing ideas.
Yeah, and Serena, most of the times, you know, we tend to feel this kind of sadness, and then you're asking yourself, why am I feeling like this? Is anything wrong with me? You don't even know why you're feeling sad, but you're just in that mood where you're not feeling okay. You're not yourself. In other words, things that you like, you have no interest in them. You're like, what is really happening to me? Am I going through some situation that I cannot describe or understand? It might be some symptoms of, you know, depression. So it's very important for you to check into your mental health, and of course, what you are going through in that particular, you know, situation, rather time. Try to understand how your mind is operating, you know, how your social life is. Yeah, how you're processing information. Are you in a good place, or are you in a bad place where you're not able to process information accordingly? Yeah, and this is why today we're looking at, you know, a check-in on suicide and depression. A very interesting, you know, topic, if you ask me, because we will be able to understand, you know, the symptoms of depression.
Of course.
Be able to know the causes of depression. And of course, last we'll be able to talk about how we can handle depression.
Of course.
Yeah.
Blessings, let's touch in on the symptoms specifically now, right? One of the first symptoms, I think we've already talked about feelings of hopelessness or not being inspired. But then the feeling of hopelessness is one that should not be undermined, because when one is depressed, you feel like you are not important to people around you, and you're not important on this earth. That's where we begin to talk about one feeling like they have no purpose. And time again, Blessings, I always encourage people to say, find your purpose, because where you do have purpose, Blessings, even when depression threatens to slip in, you just know to say, okay, I can't go a step further with these feelings of sadness, because I know that there's so much more that I'm meant to do on this earth. So one of the first symptoms that you need to look out for, if you've been suspecting that maybe you have depression, is feeling like you're worthless, feeling like the people around you don't value you, even when you know that they love you. You know deep down, say, there are people that care about me, but somehow when you think about it, that voice in your head convinces you to say you are not enough.
Yeah, you know, mental health issues, you know, makes you be in this particular environment or place where you tend to see things differently from how other people are seeing them. And of course, when you begin to feel like you're worthless, you know, you have no hope in the future, you have no hope in life, you feel like you're just nothing. When that thought or that feeling kicks in, immediately tend to think about your mental health. Am I okay? Do I need to seek help, or do I need to speak to someone that can help me and find a solution to this? So, you know, hopelessness is a symptom of depression. Definitely. And it's very important for us to understand, always understand our mental health. Yes. How we are operating mentally, and also how we are socializing, because if a person is feeling some hopelessness, it is very difficult for them to, you know, interact and socialize with other people. Of course. Yeah.
Definitely. And you know, when we speak of depression being a mood disorder, it then leads us to the next symptom, Blessings, which is angry outbursts. I think someone having quick changes in their mood is one of the common signs of depression.
Those frustrations.
Someone
just saying hi, you feel like they're insulting you.
You don't even want to respond. You know, so you're irritable, you get angry easily, even on small matters. I mean, this is something that you would not even get angry about on a daily basis, but then suddenly you just feel this sense of irritability. I talk to you, I just feel like I don't want to respond, I don't want to take the conversation any further. And of course, I'm uninspired by anything around me, so I'm just going to be irritated. If you, Blessings, come to me and I'm depressed and you want to have a conversation, even if you are asking me if I'm actually okay, I'm going to ask myself, why is he talking to me right now?
Yeah, just, you know, on this point, Serena, one man told me a story, you know, like he had this girlfriend. Yeah, so the girlfriend was like, I need you to buy an egg, actually 2 eggs, and prepare them. Boil one, and the other one should be fried. Then this man bought eggs, and then he fried one and bought the other one.
Yeah.
When he presented these eggs to the lady, she was like, I wanted you to fry the other one and boil the other one. Not this one now. she tends to make this big thing out of just nothing. You can either boil this egg or fry this one. It's basically the same thing.
They're both eggs.
Yeah. So such things, you tend to develop these frustrations over nothing. You need to check in and, think twice. Am I okay mentally? Yeah.
I love what you did there. We need to check in. You
Definitely.
need to check in.
We have to check in.
Depression and suicide.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And Serena, the other thing, of course, could be sleep disturbances. Yeah, including insomnia and sleeping too much.
Yeah.
I think this one, I'm asking myself, do I sleep too much?
Honestly, I feel like this is one of the signs of depression that people tend to miss, especially in a home with maybe, your typical home with, let's say, teenage girls, teenage boys, and then oftentimes you'll be taught to wake up at a certain time, or not clean the house, or not do what, you know how it is when we're growing up, right?
Yeah.
But then oftentimes what I've noticed is that the point is missed when it comes to teenagers, because you find someone just wants to sleep all the time, and then at home, they will be tagged as a lazy person. But then in actual sense, there's a point where that a teenager gets to, and suddenly they're affected by a lot of things around them. They're affected by peer pressure. So I feel like on that particular point, parents will tend to miss it when they see their child sleeping too much. They'll brand them as lazy. But then I feel like the message that should be gotten out there is that some of those things are the telltale signs.
True.
Notice how there's a certain point when people are just awake all the time in the night. Like insomnia is a real issue out there, and sometimes people will make it seem like it's a good thing because maybe they'll be up in the night playing games on their phone all the time, and they're saying, oh yeah, I'm awake because I'm always entertaining myself. But then are you sure you are awake because you want to be awake, or you're actually having trouble sleeping? Are you sleeping too much because you feel you are genuinely tired, or is it a sign of depression? So those are some of the symptoms that are not exhaustive, but then you need to really go deeper into them and ask yourself, is this depression?
I like the example you've used where you put in a home setup where maybe the parents are not too considerate of what their children are doing. And these days, it's very important for us to understand, say, even children have mental health issues, can have, episodes of depression and the like. So a parent who is there, and if they're not too considerate or they do not have a good relationship with their children, they might not catch this. They might not understand. Say, my child is having some symptoms of depression. They might think, maybe like you say, this child is just lazy, he likes sleeping too much. Yeah, so it's very important even for our parents out there to, be extra attentive to the needs and also the lifestyle of your children. Because sometimes we tend to miss these points, and when we realize it's too late. So it's important for us to check in always. Wow, today I'm enjoying this. It's always for you to check in into the matters and also the mental health of your children.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's very important, Blessings. I really feel people should take note on that one. But then let's talk about how issues affecting our mind can also affect our physical health.
Yeah.
One of the signs of depression that people will miss and probably keep going to the hospital for and not realize that it's depression is when we're talking about body pains. You can be having headaches, backaches, and you're thinking, okay, there's something wrong. Maybe there's a back problem I'm having. Maybe it's just lack of water. But then the truth is, when you are depressed and you're going through a lot in your mind, your physical health is actually affected as well. Because your mind is everything. What you think affects your body. When you think too much, you become tired physically. So when you're thinking a lot, when you're depressed, suddenly you get to have feelings of headaches, backaches, and then those are some of the signs that people really miss out on. So that's another thing that you need to check in on.
And Serena, I don't know if I'm right, but I think I came across something like the part of our body which uses a lot of energy. It's the brain.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. Because even when you're sleeping, your brain is processing information. Those dreams you tend to have, actually, it's basically the brain.
Working.
So I think it's very important for us to be, cautious of how we feel. You might be feeling tired and know that, some, body pains and know that, not realizing that it could be depression. Your mind is processing too much information in a way it is not supposed to. And because depression is something that we've come to think it's too common. That's what we think. But yeah, it is too common. But again, it's also difficult to identify and notice if you're not careful.
True.
So it's very important for us to check in always and be able to look for the signs and symptoms. If maybe this person has some, body pains, it's important for us to check whether it is just genuine, body pains, or it could be some depression or mental health issue.
Amazing. Yeah. And on that note, remember that you can be a part of the conversation. Do call the number on your screen. Do text the number on your screen. Let's get talking. We are checking in on depression and suicide. Now, as we are checking in, Blessings, you did talk about how children, obviously at this point by now, we all know that can be affected by depression as well. But then let's specifically just mention some of the few points that parents can take note of. Not only parents, siblings, aunties, uncles, grandparents, need to take note of just a few of these points in order to identify whether their young one is actually suffering from depression. One of the common symptoms that people are going to just shun aside, and I mean heavily, is when your child is continuously refusing to go to school.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
I think this is something that we really do overlook, because we'll think, okay, this child is just being a problem. No, go to school, we're paying for your school fees. But then there are times when it could be something deeper. I know children can be quite difficult, but then if you notice that it's something that is very serious, and I mean, it's really hard to get your toddler to school every single day, it's tears, it's a struggle, you might want to look into that, Take your child to maybe a pediatrician, a psychiatrist, just get them to have a conversation with an expert. More importantly, get your child to be more open with you.
Yeah, Serena, I think we have someone coming through. Let's try to have a conversation with our caller. Hello, good afternoon. We are through to Check-In TV show here on Litovia Television. Oh, too bad we lost that one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We lost our caller.
Keep calling, please. You get through. Keep calling. We want to have that interaction with you and, be able to check in on suicide and depression. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can proceed with the point you were stressing.
Basically, my point was just on that, Blessings. I'm sure you've noticed as well, maybe when you were a kid as well, your parents would sometimes force you, and there are days when genuinely you just felt like something was wrong. But then moving on to perhaps another point, maybe you can touch on...
I think even before you move, I think, Serena, there's this situation where, for instance, you're forcing your child to go to school. They don't want to go to school. Each and every time you want to take them to school, they're like, no, I don't want to go to school. You don't realize what they're going through when they're at school. You get a point.
That's a good point.
Sometimes it could be maybe the friends they are with, they tend to bully them. That could be one reason a child will not be wanting to go to school.
True.
And that can trigger some depression. But because, in African context and setup, we always think depression and these other mental health issues are just for elderly people, not kids. It could be that a child doesn't want to be going to school because they're bullied. And when they're bullied, they tend to look down on themselves, like maybe something is wrong about me. They're kids, yes, but they might be processing wrong information in their mind. Yeah, so it's also important to, if you see that your child doesn't want to go to school, take time, go to their school.
Yeah.
Just try to observe what happens there. Talk to their teachers. Be a responsible parent and person.
Check in on your child.
Check in.
Definitely. And I feel the common misconception when it comes to children is because oftentimes adults will be thinking this is a child. They're not going through any economic issues. They're not going through financial stress. Life is not really happening to them as much as it is happening to an adult. So oftentimes people will look at a child and think, ni mwana chabe, they'll cry to end. Let's just force the person to go to school, the child to go to school. But then I feel like that's a misconception that needs to end today, and it really needs to seriously end as soon as possible, because mental health and depression are not just limited to what's happening around us. Sometimes your child could be experiencing feelings of sadness because it's something that is genetic, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, of course, we have to check in, and you that is watching us can be part of the conversation by simply texting or calling the number that is showing on the screen. And you can also be part of this family by following, the check-in page on our Facebook, on Facebook, which is the Check-In TV show, and be able to follow the proceedings of this particular TV show and comment there. Yeah, Serena, I think another thing that we should look out for, in as much as children are concerned, is reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased craving for food and weight gain. This is one thing we should pay attention to.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we find that our kids are eating too much than the usual. It calls for the parents to check in the life of the child. It could be that maybe they are stressed. I think I've had some interactions with people where they're like, for me, if I'm not feeling okay, I tend to eat a lot.
Yes.
So that could be a symptom.
It could be.
If some people can also say, if I'm not feeling okay, I have something going on in my mind, I'm not in a good place, I tend not to eat too much. I have reduced appetite for food. Even the things that they like the most, they don't want to eat them. That could be a sign. And that is not just a symptom for elderly people, even for children, the kids. Yeah.
Yes. Definitely. Those are very, very important telltale signs. And even as we have talked about adolescents and children, let's just touch a bit on teenagers as well, because the teenage phase is a very, very critical phase. I feel like
cumbersome one.
The teenage phase is a point where a lot of people are made or broken.
Yeah.
And I heavily emphasize on that. You know, why I say so is because during the teenage phase, obviously we know people hit puberty. And when there's puberty, there's hormones. Hormones cause a lot of changes in our bodies, and that's one thing that people,
to say.
Yes, a lot. That's one thing that people really do need to understand, you know?
Yeah, I think we should pick this one. Oh, man.
Seems our caller is having trouble getting through. But remember that you can still be a part of the conversation. Drop us a text message as well if you're having trouble getting through via call. Let us know your thoughts. We're talking about depression and suicide, right? We're just doing basically a general outlook and checking in on you as our viewers. And of course, we're checking in on the overall topic of depression and suicide. Now, as I was talking about teenagers and depression blessings, one of the common signs of depression in teenagers is a change in the way you knew your child to be. And this comes back to the whole point of a loss of interest in what things that one used to be interested in. And this is particular in teenagers, because when you're growing up with a child, let's say they were always excited to do things with you as mommy or daddy or as sister or brother, suddenly there's a huge change. They're uninterested in family events, uninterested in eating with the family. Like every single thing that they used to enjoy doing suddenly has changed. I know the teenage phase is a confusing phase, but then no child or teenager abruptly changes like that. So when it's so sudden and you as a parent or sibling know that there's something off here, check in on that. It could be your teenager maybe has just evolved, they've grown, but then most likely if it's so different and it's so new, then they could be suffering from depression. More so if they are uninterested with socializing with fellow family members, friends, or maybe they've changed the group of friends that they used to hang around.
Serena, you've said it right and you've explained it really well. I think what I can just say to the parents out there is like, don't fake it. Why fake it? If there is an issue, please address that issue. It is not a crime to check in into the life of your child. It's not. Actually, it's very helpful and healthy to have good and candid conversations with your children. Because by doing so, you'll be helping them to live a good life and a healthy life. If you leave your children to discover things by themselves, of course, internet will help them. And it will teach them wrong things. So it's very important for our parents to have these clear and candid conversations with the children so they can direct them and, provide guidance. That is why they are there. They are parents. They are guardians and provide guidance to the kids. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So let's now get to talking about, I think, the fact that eventually one of the biggest symptoms of depression is suicidal thoughts. Now, this is irrespective of you being a teenager, an adult, maybe noticing that your child is suddenly playing around with sharp objects, which could be a sign that your child is contemplating suicide. But then suicide is one of the most common symptoms of depression. Now, of course, this is with regards to extreme cases of depression, eventually leads to one thinking of taking their own life. Now, let's get deeply to talking about suicide blessings. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, actually, I like the fact that this time around we're able to talk about this, because I feel like back then, way back, we never had conversations about, suicide and also, children having thoughts of committing suicide. We never had those conversations. But because we're able to talk about them right now, I feel we are helping someone out there. And recently, I think a day ago, we had a story of a 9-year-old, child who committed suicide. Actually, this person was in grade 3 and she committed suicide, which brings a lot of questions. What was happening? Where were the parents? Up to now, we don't even know what really transpired. We don't have the concrete information about this story. But according to the information that we received, and this is a story that was covered by Diamond Media, a 9-year-old girl from Sanfia district in Malambola village in Chief in Chief Kasoma village. Chikunse, thank you, pardon me. Chikunse committed suicide in unclear circumstances. A third grade pupil of Chivole Primary School claimed her life on Saturday around 15 hours when the rest of the family had gone out to the farm. So this is the story of a girl that committed suicide, and of course, unclear circumstances around this particular story, because we do not really know what caused this girl to commit suicide. We're just speculating right now. We're like, maybe she was depressed, maybe this and that, maybe there was an argument and all that. But if there was proper care, I believe the parents would have prevented this case from taking place.
You know, I think that says a lot about the environments that children grow up in.
Yeah.
It really speaks to the fact that children need to be in healthy environments, you know, not only children, adults as well, teenagers as well, because the environment that one is in could really lead them to commit suicide. Now, like you did mention, with this situation, we don't have the full facts yet as we speak, and I know we'll update you, the viewers, later, probably next week, on the developments on this particular story that we did get. But then the point is that let's really just check in on the environments that we are creating. What type of home do you have? What type of home do you want to create? What type of healthy environments do you want your children to grow up in? And you, as an adult, as a teenager, how would you like to reflect good energy in your home and peace to ensure that no issues of mental health are found around you?
Yeah, and I think, Serena, it's very important for families to sit down sometimes as family and have conversations, because this can help maybe a person that is having some challenges in terms of their mental health to come out and speak about this, and by doing so they will be able to get help. Let's try to pick this call. Oh,
lost the call again.
Yeah, but I think there's a message. Yeah, so let's see what our viewers are saying. Okay, so there's a question here, Serena. The question is, but how do you heal from depression? Yeah,
that's
a very important question.
Very good question.
Yeah.
And we are in the dying minutes, so the perfect timing for that question.
Yeah, and how I wish this person mentioned the name and where they are texting us from, so that at least we can have a good and clear conversation around that.
But not a problem.
Yeah,
not a problem either way.
Definitely.
I think that's a very, very good question, Blessings.
A very important question and a timely question, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So my advice, or my answer to this question, of course, I'm not a professional, doctor or psychiatrist or whatever. I can only offer the information. I can only offer an answer according to the information that I've gathered and what I've read, and of course, some conversations that I've had with other people. Yeah. So the best way to the name has come.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm glad that this person is really following this show. So the name is Rhoda Mwila from Garden House. Thank you, Rhoda, and we appreciate your messaging us, or your coming through. Yeah. So what I think you should do, first of all, is to, have an introspection.
Yes.
Have an introspection. Try to understand where this depression is really coming from. It's very difficult for someone to heal if they do not really understand the problem.
True.
So the first thing to do is to understand the problem. Where is it coming from? What is the root cause of the problem? If you understand that, it will be very easy for you now to, not too easy, but at least easy for you to, come out of depression, because you understand the cause and you'll be able to deal with the cause.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, try to revisit the place where this depression started from. What really instigated or caused the depression to take place.
Yeah.
When you understand that, you'll be able now to find ways on how you can deal with that. But of course, in addition to that, it is always important, when you understand the reason why you're having depression, to seek help, professional help.
Yes.
Go to a doctor, go to a counselor. They can help you, they can counsel you, they can be able to provide you with some information and provide you with a path that you can take for you to come out of that depression. Yeah, Serena, you'd like to add something to there?
I think just to add on that, what you've mentioned is very, very important. So the first step, Rhoda, is to understand what's causing you to be depressed.
Yeah.
More importantly, accepting that you are depressed. The first stage is always acceptance.
Yeah.
When you have accepted that there's something that you need to solve within yourself, you're already one step closer to getting better. So after you have identified that, okay, I am depressed, this is not normal, this is not the usual me, the next step is now for you to actually try to seek help. Now, the thing with seeking help is it can be quite tricky, because if you aren't able to afford therapy, then you can seek help from friends, from family. I think this is one thing that people will often shy away from, but then the truth is you need people. Try to talk to a family member, and one thing I'll point out is I know sometimes it can feel like family members won't understand. I know sometimes it can feel like friends will laugh at you and they won't understand, but then have those friends that you can talk to. If perhaps you're feeling depressed because you have no friends, try socializing, get out into different environments, branch out into clubs, into community engagement activities that will get you out of that state of continuously thinking about what's making you feel depressed. So socialize with others. If you don't have friends and that's the reason why you're depressed, try to now get into environments that will help you slowly gain acquaintances and eventually gain friends. But then the first thing is always try to talk to people, have that conversation. If you can, always seek medical attention, seek medical help.
And always remember, it's the people around you shape who you are. So it's important for you to be surrounded by people that are going to impact you positively. And the other thing, of course, that we would like to mention on this particular TV show is that we are here to help.
Yes.
So if you are going through some challenges, you are passing through depression and all that, it's important for you to call or text the number that is showing on the screen. And we'll be able to maybe direct you to the people that can help you, link you to those people that can help you. And if you might not you might not have the chance to call, just visit our Facebook page, which is the Check-In TV show, and be able to drop your number there and tell us your issue.
Yes.
We'll be able to help, and we'll be happy to do so.
Very happy to do so. Another thing is do avoid triggers as much as possible. I think people will oftentimes even be in the process of healing, but then they'll continuously put themselves in situations that trigger them. And I don't necessarily mean what exactly caused you to be depressed, because sometimes it could be your mother and your father, and yet you live with those people. But then also it could be avoid things like alcohol, avoid things like peer pressure, drug abuse. The honest truth is that can only make things worse. It can only spiral you down a further hole of depression and eventually lead you to committing suicide. So as much as it may be tempting, I'll encourage people that think they may be suffering from depression to avoid things like alcohol, substance abuse, being in the wrong crowds, watching obscene materials, intentionally staying up late. Basically avoid triggers. And I think on that note, blessings, we are in the dying minutes.
Sure. But even as we're in the dying minutes of the show, we have another question.
Amazing.
Today is very interesting. Yeah, so we have a question from Joy from Jack Compound, Lusaka. And she's saying, good afternoon. How do I get out of depression? I rarely sleep and experience continuous headache.
Wow.
Good question there.
Very good question.
Yeah.
You rarely sleep and you experience continuous headaches. I think I love the points that Joy has mentioned. Joy, once more, do feel free to get in touch with us via our Facebook page. Drop us a message, drop us a comment. We can further this conversation later as well. We can help you in whatever way that we can. But then the point, Joy, is that you've identified that you are depressed. Now, the question for you to ask yourself is, what are you doing to ensure that you're not embracing the whole system of you not sleeping enough? Are you staying up late by grabbing your phone? Are you attempting to sleep and whatnot? What are you doing amidst all that? So check in on yourself. I think one thing I would advise is for you to be able to write down your feelings. That's one thing I would sleep in there. Rhoda, Joy, and anyone else that is watching us today, have a journal, because you can keep track of your feelings even before you can seek help from other people. If you're able to check in with yourself, I think that's one of the best things that you could ever do for yourself, because the truth is sometimes you may be seeking help from family and friends, but then what happens when they are not available? So Joy, number one, try to seek help from a friend. Talk to someone about what is causing you to be depressed. You've identified that you're failing to sleep. You've identified that you're having headaches. But then the question is, have you talked about it, and do you know what exactly caused it? Are you in that environment? And if so, how can you begin to heal from that? So the questions are for you to answer. But then the most important step is seek the professional help. And if you can't, seek help from a friend or family member. Sometimes even church counseling, I'll sleep with that in. Church counseling does help,
Yeah, and also it's important for you to avoid the triggers like she mentioned earlier, because sometimes what happens is that you are not feeling okay, but you're still going back to the things that are making you not to feel okay. So when you identify that you're in this place and you are no longer feeling like you, seek help. And this is why we're here. So the numbers that I've texted us, I think we're going to help them by linking them to people that can actually provide professional help to them. We're here to give you the platform where you can talk about these issues and be able to, just be able to get that connection with people that can help you. Yeah. So because we're in the dying minutes of the show, Joy from Jack Compound, Lusaka, please get in touch with us. Even after the show, please be able to, call us and be able to get some information from us that can help you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Definitely blessings. What an amazing topic that we've had today.
Yeah.
I think I've enjoyed the interaction aspect of it. We definitely need a part 2 of checking in on depression.
Definitely. We really need to do that. I'm really happy that we had this conversation because someone out there at least
has benefited.
Is learning and is benefiting. Yeah. Of course, I've been your host, Blessings KN. And as always,
yeah.
that person. Yeah, that one. That one.
This has been the Check-In TV show on Litovia Television. Join us every single Thursday at 15:30 hours where we get to check in on issues affecting you and I as citizens in this beautiful country, and we get to talk about everything to do with mental health. Until next Thursday, it is bye-bye.
Yeah, like I always say, it is not $1 million question, but $1 million voice. We're out. Peace.